The Sarathian Empire had stood for thousands of years, its golden towers rising above the clouds of their homeworld, Arameth. They were known for their wisdom, their culture, and their unmatched sciences. But now, their heart was broken. Princess Eliara, only daughter of the High Empress, lay in a silent chamber at the center of the palace. Her body was alive, but her spirit seemed to fade day by day. The Empire's healers had tried every cure, every machine, and every ancient ritual, but nothing worked. Her breath was shallow, her skin pale, her eyes closed as if she slept in endless darkness. The people of Arameth mourned as though she were already gone, for Eliara was more than a princess. She was a symbol of unity. It was said she carried the future of her empire in her heart. Without her, the Sarathians feared that their enemies would rise and their empire would fall into dust. It was in this time of sorrow that humanity arrived. Commander Daniel Hayes of Earth stood among the Sarathian envoys in the palace's grand hall. He was not tall compared to the Sarathians, nor did he wear armor of shining metals like their guards. He stood in his simple navy uniform, carrying no weapon, only the flag of his people stitched on his sleeve. To the Sarathians he looked ordinary, fragile, almost unworthy of notice. Yet Earth had been invited to Arameth as a gesture of goodwill. The Sarathians had once seen humans as a primitive race, new to the stars, too reckless, too emotional. But they also saw something strange in them, a persistence that refused to die. That persistence had earned Daniel a seat in the court, though not much respect. That day the Empress herself entered the throne hall. Her long robe shimmered like liquid silver, but her face carried the weight of grief. "Our daughter fades," she said to the gathered council, "and with her the hope of our empire. If any voice still has counsel, speak." One by one, healers stepped forward, repeating what had already been said. Medicines failed. Machines failed. Ancient rites failed. At last, silence fell, heavy and hopeless. Daniel, standing at the edge of the court, felt his heart ache. He did not know Princess Eliara, but he could see the sorrow etched into every Sarathian face. He remembered Earth's history, the wars, the losses, the times when all seemed finished. And yet humanity had always found a way to rise again. Against his better judgment, Daniel stepped forward. The Sarathian guards moved quickly, their spears crossing to block his path. The council murmured in disapproval. A human had no right to speak in such a sacred moment, but the Empress lifted her hand. "Let him speak," Daniel bowed. "I am not a healer," he admitted. "I am not wise in your sciences. But on Earth, when someone we love fades, we do not always turn to medicines. Sometimes we simply sit by their side. Sometimes a touch, a voice, a hand held close can call them back. Not always, but sometimes." The council scoffed. To them it sounded foolish, childish even. But the Empress looked into Daniel's eyes and saw no arrogance, only sincerity. For days she had heard nothing but failures. His words, though simple, carried something else. A spark. "You may enter," she said quietly. The chamber of the princess was dim and silent. Crystal walls glowed faintly with soft light, casting Eliara's figure in pale silver. She lay upon a bed of woven starlight fibers, her hands resting upon her chest, her face still and calm like a sleeping statue. Daniel approached slowly. He could hear his own heartbeat louder than the room's silence. For a moment he felt unworthy, a lone human in the presence of an alien royal. But then he remembered the faces of those he had once comforted on Earth. He remembered sitting beside his sister's hospital bed, holding her hand through long nights when no cure seemed possible. He lowered himself beside Eliara. "Princess," he whispered softly, not knowing if she could hear. "I don't know your world. I don't know your dreams, but I know what it means to fight against the dark. Humans, we do that every day. We fall, we break, but we keep moving forward. And if you can hear me even a little, I want you to fight too. Because your people need you." His hand reached out, trembling slightly. He touched her fingers. At first, nothing happened. Her skin was cool, almost lifeless. Daniel closed his eyes, ashamed of his own foolish hope. He thought perhaps the council had been right. This was nothing but a desperate gesture, but then her hand twitched. It was small, almost invisible, but Daniel felt it. A faint pulse ran through her veins. He opened his eyes quickly. Eliara's chest rose with a stronger breath than before, and a faint glow stirred beneath her skin. as though light had awakened within her blood. Outside the chamber, the guards gasped. One ran to call the Empress. Daniel's heart raced. He whispered again, "That's it. Stay with us. Stay with them." The Empress entered with her council, their eyes wide as they saw what no healer, no machine, no ritual had achieved. A human touch had stirred their princess. The Empress's lips trembled as she whispered, "Impossible." But Daniel did not think it was impossible. To him it was simply human. For humanity had always carried one gift above all others, the stubborn will to hold on to hope, even in the darkest hour, and now, in the heart of the Cerathian Empire, that gift had kindled a miracle. The Cerathian capital was never silent, yet that night a strange quiet filled its streets. Whispers traveled faster than the wind. The human had touched the princess and she had stirred. At first, many dismissed it as rumor. The Cerathian people were desperate for hope, and desperate minds believed anything. But the guards had seen it with their own eyes. The Empress herself had seen the faint light return to her daughter's skin. By morning, the story had reached every tower, every marketplace, every gathering hall, and in the center of it all stood Commander Daniel Hayes. He had never felt more out of place. He walked through the palace corridors with watchful eyes on him. Some looked at him with awe, others with suspicion, a few with hostility. To them, he was an outsider who had touched something sacred. When Daniel entered the council chamber the next day, the debate had already begun. "He is no healer," one counselor argued. "It was chance, nothing more. We cannot trust this alien with our princess." Yet the princess responded, another replied. "We cannot deny what our eyes saw. No Cerathian hand has done what his did." The Empress sat in silence, her gaze sharp as a blade. She listened, but her thoughts lingered in the quiet moment she had witnessed, the miracle she had never believed possible. Her daughter's faint breath had grown stronger when Daniel touched her. It could not be ignored. Finally she spoke. "The human will be allowed to sit with Ilyara again." The chamber erupted in protests. But the Empress's voice carried the weight of command. "Enough, our empire is built on truth, not pride. If truth lies in his hand, then we will follow it." That evening, Daniel was led once more into Ilyara's chamber. She lay as before, still and silent, but her color was brighter and her breathing more steady. Daniel sat beside her, unsure of what to say. He had never been trained for this. He was a soldier, a diplomat, but never a healer. Yet something inside told him it wasn't about skill or training. It was about being human. He spoke softly, as if talking to an old friend. "Hello again, Princess. It's me, the stranger who probably doesn't belong here. I don't know if you can hear me, but I'll keep talking anyway. On Earth, we believe that sometimes words can reach places even medicine cannot. So let me tell you a story." He began to share tales of Earth, simple ones. How farmers once watched the seasons to guide their crops. How sailors crossed endless oceans with only stars to lead them. How children ran barefoot through green fields, chasing fireflies at dusk. His voice was calm, steady, carrying images of a world Ilyara had never seen. He told of wars too, but not with anger. He spoke of how people rebuilt, how cities rose again after falling, how families found each other in the ruins. And as he spoke, the faint glow within Ilyara grew stronger. Her lips trembled as though she fought to form words. Daniel leaned closer. "You're not alone," he whispered. "Your people are waiting. They believe in you. I believe in you. And I think you believe in them too. That's why you can't give up." A tear slipped from the corner of Ilyara's closed eye. Daniel froze. He wiped it gently, his heart pounding. It was the clearest sign yet. She heard him. Outside the chamber, the council could no longer ignore what was happening. For hours they had watched through crystal walls, seeing the light return to their princess little by little. The healers studied the monitors and confirmed. Her life force, once fading, now climbed steadily. Some bowed their heads in wonder. Others clenched their fists in anger. "This is dangerous," whispered Lord Vareth, one of the eldest counselors. "If the people believe this human saved her, our empire's pride will crumble. Will they see us as weak? Will they see humans as stronger than us?" But others disagreed. "Perhaps it is not weakness. Perhaps it is a gift we must honor." The human did not come with weapons or demands. He came with hope. And hope, they realized, was something their empire had forgotten. As days passed, Daniel remained at Ilyara's side. He told her stories of Earth's greatest struggles and greatest triumphs. He described the stars seen from a small village on a summer night. He spoke of music that carried sorrow and joy in the same breath. Slowly, Elyara began to respond. Her fingers moved more often. Her breathing grew strong. Her chest rose and fell with life that had nearly been lost. And though her eyes remained closed, her spirit reached outward, tethered to Daniel's voice like a ship guided by a distant lighthouse. The palace servants began to gather outside the chamber each evening, listening to the humans' gentle stories. Soon the guards listened too. Even the counselors who had first dismissed him found themselves drawn in. One evening, as Daniel spoke of Earth's poets, a ripple passed through the watching crowd. Elyara's lips moved. A faint whisper escaped, a word in the Sarathian tongue. Light. The Empress fell to her knees, tears streaming down her face. It was her daughter's first word in months. The news spread like fire. Across the empire, Sarathians lifted their heads in hope. The princess was awakening, and at the heart of the miracle was a human voice. But not all hearts were glad. In the shadows of the council chamber, Lord Vareth gathered his allies. If the princess rises and credits this human, our people will see him as their savior. Humanity will rise above us in honor. We cannot allow that. We are Sarathians. We are the Empire. No alien hand should claim the heart of our princess. A seed of jealousy was planted, yet beyond politics, in the quiet of her chamber, none of that mattered. Daniel sat once more, holding Elyara's hand. Her fingers no longer felt cold. They were warm, alive, trembling slightly as though trying to grip his. "You're coming back," Daniel whispered with a small smile. "One step at a time. Just keep going." And though her eyes remained closed, her lips curved faintly, the shadow of a smile. For the first time in months, the princess of the Sarathians was not fading. She was fighting, and it was the voice of a human that guided her back. The dawn over Arameth was brighter than it had been in months. Golden light poured over the palace towers, and for the first time since Princess Elyara had fallen into silence, the bells of the empire rang. The sound spread across the capital, echoing through every street, every home, every heart. The princess was awakening. Within her chamber, Elyara's eyes fluttered open. Slowly, like a flower greeting the sun, she blinked against the light. Her breathing was steady, her color warm, her spirit alive. The first thing she saw was not the grand ceiling of the palace, nor the jeweled walls around her. It was Daniel, sitting faithfully at her side, his hand still holding hers. For a long moment she simply stared. Her lips parted, her voice weak but clear. "You stayed," Daniel smiled softly. "Yes, I wasn't going to leave you." It was a simple exchange, but for the Sarathian attendants who stood nearby, it was a miracle greater than any they had dreamed. Their princess had spoken. Their princess had returned. The Empress entered, her silver robes flowing like rivers of light. When she saw her daughter awake, she covered her face with her hands, weeping openly. She rushed to Elyara's side, kneeling as she kissed her forehead. "My child," she whispered, "my light has returned." All around, guards, servants, and healers bowed deeply. Some wept, some whispered prayers of thanks. But every eye soon turned to Daniel, for in their hearts they knew this miracle had begun with him. Later that day, the throne hall filled with the Empire's highest counselors. News had spread too far and too fast for secrecy. Every Sarathian knew the truth. The human's touch had awakened their princess. The council was divided. "He should be honored," one said. "Without him, our princess would be lost." "He should be cast out," another argued. "If we let the people believe a human saved her, it will wound our pride forever." But when Elyara entered the hall, walking with weak but steady steps, silence fell. She wore a simple white gown, her crown absent, her hair loose around her shoulders. Her presence alone silenced every argument. She looked at the gathered counselors and then at Daniel, who stood awkwardly at the edge of the chamber, uncertain whether he even belonged there. "My people," Elyara said, her voice soft but strong enough to carry. "I have walked the edge of darkness. I have felt the silence where life ends. I would not be standing here if not for the voice that reached me." That voice was not Sarathian. It was human. The council stirred. Some frowned. Others lowered their eyes in shame. "Do not mistake this truth for weakness," Elyara continued. "No healer, no science, no ritual could reach me. What reached me was hope. Hope carried in a simple hand, in a simple story, in a heart that refused to let go. Humanity carries this gift and we must honor it. For what empire can survive if it forgets the power of hope? Her words echoed through the chamber, striking every listener. Even those who doubted could not deny the strength in her eyes, the warmth in her voice. The Empress rose and placed her hand on her daughter's shoulder. So it shall be written, humanity is not our lesser, they are our allies. Let this miracle be remembered as the day the Sarathian Empire learned again the meaning of hope. That night the capital turned into a sea of light. Lanterns floated into the sky, glowing like stars. Music filled the streets and families embraced, speaking of a future no longer shadowed by loss. For the Sarathians, the awakening of their princess was more than healing. It was rebirth. And at the center of every song, every cheer, every story was the human who had sat by her side. Daniel, however, did not feel like a hero. He sat quietly on a balcony looking at the stars. The celebrations below seemed far away. He had not touched Iliara to gain honor. He had done it because it was the human thing to do, to hold on even when hope seemed gone. Iliara found him there. She walked slowly, still recovering, but her smile carried strength. She joined him on the balcony, gazing at the same stars. You look troubled, she said gently. Daniel shook his head. Not troubled, just wondering why me. You have thousands of healers, millions of loyal people. Why would it be me? Iliara studied him for a moment. Because you did not come with pride. You did not try to command the darkness away. You came with nothing but a heart that refused to stop believing. Sometimes the simplest flame can light the largest darkness. Her words eased him, though he still felt the weight of it all. But not everyone rejoiced. In the shadows of the empire, Lord Vareth and his allies gathered. Their voices were bitter. The people speak of him as if he is one of us. They sing his name as though it belongs in our history. If this continues, the Sarathian Empire will be bound to humanity forever. We cannot allow this human to steal our place in our own story. Plans began to form, schemes to silence Daniel, to erase his part in the miracle. Yet such schemes, born of pride and jealousy, could not erase what had already taken root in the hearts of the people. For in every home, in every tower, the story of the human and the princess was told and retold. Children pretended to be Iliara awakening from her sleep, while others pretended to be the human who reached her with stories of distant Earth. The tale became legend before it was even finished. Days turned into weeks. Iliara grew stronger, walking the palace gardens, standing again beside her mother at court. Daniel remained as an envoy, but in truth he had become something more. An honored guest, a living reminder of the miracle. When Iliara finally addressed her people from the balcony of the palace, thousands gathered below. My heart belongs to my people, she declared, but this miracle belongs to more than us. Humanity stood with me in the dark. Humanity reminded me to fight. And now humanity stands with the Sarathians as friends, as equals, as kin in hope. The crowd roared in answer, their cheers shaking the towers themselves. For once no voice rose in protest. Daniel stood at her side, humbled and quiet. He did not raise his hands, did not bow, did not speak. He simply stood, a symbol of what had been done, and so it was remembered. The day a human touched the fading soul of a princess, and in doing so, awakened not only her, but an entire empire. The Sarathians had always believed their strength lay in their wisdom and power, but now they knew the truth. The greatest strength came from something far simpler, something humanity had carried all along, an unyielding hope that refused to die, and in that hope, every heart was united, forever.